All right. Hi, my name is Leila Kelly. In today's video, I'll be talking about rights and responsibilities of students and professionals in a higher education setting, and also talking about how it ties into student affairs departments on higher education campuses. So we get into the rights and responsibilities that students and professionals have. Basically, student affairs is all about making sure students have the best college or university experience. So by knowing rights and responsibilities and what laws to follow and can't be broken, that leads to an optimal experience for students. So first, getting into legal status of students in higher education. It's basically how students are recognized in a higher education institution, and it's based pretty much on age, and their age determines the rights they have. Since most students into a higher education institution are 18 or more, they are legal adults and therefore are recognized as adults and have the same rights that adults have. All right. And their broad rights are basically being entitled to being protected and safe, and having academic freedom. Like their safety can be protected for FERPA and HIPAA by knowing that these are records that are private and need to be kept that way, private, unless the student signs a waiver allowing others to see it. Academic freedom, that students have the right to have the academic freedom to learn in their class, and educators as well have the right to teach the class. Contractual rights, that's basically involves rights that students have, based on contracts, and especially if contracts are not followed and therefore there's a breach of contract. Now, contracts come in many ways, whether it's through financial aid, housing, or food service, just to name a few. Or certain stipulations of the contract that need to be followed and can have consequences for them being broken or breached. So students have rights to have hearings, or if they feel any part of the contract that they've agreed to for anything has been breached. And there's been court cases of that happening, where students tried to get an appeal for a breach of contract. Of course, it doesn't mean the student's automatically going to get what they want out of it. The investigation will be made on the contract in the situation to see if there was in fact a breach of contract, or if that's not the case. Let's see. The legal relationships. Students do have legal relationships with other students. That is basically treating them how they'd want to be. Not doing things that break rules, like if they get into disputes with each other that can cross into breaking tort law, which is basically all about wrongful, negligent injury. So heated situations can turn into things that cause injury to one another. Or Title IX protects students from other students, because Title IX is against sexual harassment, and it's not just something that can happen with staff members to students, but other students to students. So knowing also who to report to when problems happen is essential, whether it's the student who's the victim themselves or other students on behalf of others. So it's responsibilities that students have towards other students to treat them right, but also make sure if they witness something wrong, that they're reporting it for the student's safety, the classmates, even if it's someone they don't know very well. Responsibilities of student affairs professionals. Student affairs professionals do have specific responsibilities as well with students, and especially with their files. So records, mainly FERPA is the main thing there that protects records, like personal information, like addresses, social security numbers, and grades. So student affairs professionals must be taking measures to make sure that records of students are being protected, and it's closing certain windows on the screen, so not allowing other parties, unauthorized parties, to have access to records that they don't have a right to. And just making sure to be extra careful to make sure these things are not being seen, because professionals want to have trust and respect from their students, and the quickest way to lose it is by not protecting their privacy or not caring about their safety. And then there are some regulations on campus that govern responsibilities of student affairs departments, like housing regulations. All right. So making sure there's like, contract that lays out important rules that must be followed, and also making sure there's no discrimination happening based on who can access this housing, or being respectful if there's students who do not want to live on campus. Some would rather commute at home, because they're comfortable like still living with their parents, and plus it can save them some money. So by not respecting the students' wants, that can definitely sour their college experience. Being aware of like freedom of speech and like what's protected by the First Amendment. Just making sure that we're aware of those things so that students feel respected, that they don't have to be worried about being accused of using hate speech and it being censored on them. And campus security, and that protects the safety of students, protects them against violent crime. That ties into the responsibilities of student affairs departments. And in student affairs departments, they can do that by being aware of things like tort law and Title IX, and having list of important phone numbers to call if there's witnessing of someone getting hurt or someone getting sexually harassed. It's important, because we want to make the students' college experience optimal. So, knowing to like report things that we see happening that shouldn't be happening plays a major part in that, because the students then trust us more and feel like they're cared for and protected. And that's very important for making sure that their college experience is enjoyable and not potentially prompting them to drop out if they don't feel safe. So that's really it. And thank you and have a wonderful night. Bye.